Well, thank you very much for coming. It's always a pleasure for us to have you because this is the tradition. Now that, as you said, the year 2025 is coming to an end, and then we about to begin the 2026 year. So normally it's like stock taking. You're here basically to look at what has happened in the past 11 to 12 months. And GRA, as you know, our main mandate is collections of revenue. We have other functions that we do, including security at all the borders in the country, including the seaport and the airport. But our main function is revenue collection. And in that revenue collection, like it happens all over the world, the governments always give out the revenue authorities targets so that the government will also know what they are expecting from the revenues that are generated locally, and plus other things that makes help the government to organize themselves. So Gambia is not an exception. This is the way we do. And in that revenue setting, it does not mean only Minister of Finance will just come up. It's based on much consultation between the Gambia as well as the IMF and the Minister of Finance. And then we use systems to look at the revenue for the particular year that's coming. It's just not peak like that. And you guys, most of the time you follow us, you know where we start the revenue collections for the past 5 years or 6 years, and where we are now today. It's completely different. So for 2025, it was the target that is agreed between Ministry of Finance, the IMF, and the Gambia Revenue Authority was 23 billion. And in that, we divide it into different months. So every month we have to collect against that. But due to the improvements that we have in the country, as far as revenue generation is concerned, we were able to get the 23 billion by end of November. In fact, even get excess more than far more than the 22 billion that is expected of that government assigns us to do. So come this month, December, whatever collections we may end up coming up with, that would just be an excess collection. And inshallah, we will call you and let you know how much we wrap up the year with by the end of December. We will tell you exactly the performance of the revenue collection for 2025. But as we stand now, we have collected more than 23 billion. I thought the best way to change the dynamics is to digitalize the system, because I've seen how things were working, how the collections was happening, and it was not the best of the best, because most of the things we are doing manually. So my thinking was, and the experience that I have is, we have to digitalize. And the people that I have around me, that's my directors, my staffs, the boards I have, they all agree with me that that's the best way. So we started, gradually bringing reforms, and that is what takes us away. Because back in the days, you can't even think of even 300 million in the early days. You don't even have that for 2 departments, customs and excise and domestic tax. And we went to a point, it was increasing gradually. But when we went into digitalization proper, it was a different ball game. The first year we collected about 800 million. It was announced at the National Assembly by His Excellency the President, and it was a big thing, because a lot of people think that that kind of a money cannot be collected in the country. But again, because we keep improving, bringing more reforms to the tax collection, and here we are today. We are talking about above 2 billion on a monthly collection. And now we are not talking of a billion, but we have moved, but we got billions, we've moved from that level. We are now in 2 billion, above 2 billion. And God knows the way we are going, if everything goes fine, who knows, next year when you come here, we'll be thinking of 3 billion. Because as far as we are concerned, the sky is the limit. We always bring reforms, and those reforms helps a lot. It helps the taxpayers, it helps GRA in terms of collection. because the reforms mostly bring efficiency, accountability in our system. And so, as such, the leakages that happens around the reforms, they block all those things. And when we are doing the reforms as well, it's kind of, we don't increase the tax rates, but rather we make sure that the efficiency, the systems bring in efficiency. A good example is when we brought the fuel marking. Back in the days before the fuel marking was introduced 1 year ago, our collection was around 250. Maximum, we don't go around 300 million. But when we start that reforms, we see that the first month it was about above 400 million. The next month, on average now, we're getting about 500 million. So all the things that were happening, you know, has to stop because of the reforms that we put in place. And this goes into all the other reforms. So in other words, it brings accountability, it brings transparency, it brings more collections for us. So in a nutshell, yes, I have my career, and I did my best, and I work with a team. I have a team behind me, and they are not leaving me behind. The way I do things, even if I'm not here, I'm sure they will do it the same. So at the end of the day, you know, I cannot be here forever and ever. One day I have to leave, but I am sure I prepared a team, and that team can do, you know, whatever I am doing today. We are moving into 2026 very positively, because there are plans ahead. Some of the reforms, we have not even completed the processes. For example, the rental income. This is a system that we introduce by taking a street view of the areas in the country. And then we have a database that we develop as such. Most of the properties that are on there for rent, when we have the names, the moment we put up the names in the system, any property that you have within Greater Banjul area, or KMC, Banjul, or West Coast as well, the names will come up, and all your properties will be on the screen. And if you are not paying your rental income, you know, the staffs will call you. So when you come over, they will show you the properties that you have. And now it's going to be, you know, you and the picture that is in front of you, the properties that you have. If you were paying for one property, when you have 10 property or 6 property, now they will ask you that these properties must be on our pay list. And in most cases, you cannot argue further, because already the system is showing you all the properties in your name. So that's one area that we just started it in October, and you know, November, December, then January. So as the system is going, we improve on it. But it's only one phase that has been completed. That is the Banjul and KMC. Now the second phase will be the West Coast region. And that we hope that by the second quarter or third quarter of next year, we will get that one also over, and then we'll have the complete system. So this system, we hope, will help us a lot in 2026, in addition to the other systems that we have. Also, we are in the process of getting the revenue assurance. That's revenue assurance as something to do with telecoms and telecoms companies that are here. That one also, we were working on it for the longest time, but now everything is in place. We are hoping that the first or second quarter of 2026, it will also start working. And we hope that that one also will help in terms of efficiency in the collections of tax line on that tax line. And many others that we have already got. You know about the single window, how helpful it is, you know, to our collection. You know about the e-tracking, how helpful it is in our collection. You know about the digital way bridge that is at the port, how helpful it is. You know about the scanning system, how helpful it is in terms of revenue collection. So you have a lot of line of there, in addition to digital tax stamps that we have, and you have seen that thing. So with all these systems are here, and they are getting matured. So with these systems, we believe that the target that is being given to us for 2026 is about 27.5 billion. And we believe that with these systems in place, all things being equal, we should be able to get that target without any much problem. It's record keeping. You know, people are used to the question, doing things manually. Even the companies that you think at one point they should be digital, they still keep things manual. You know, and the manual work and lack of record keeping is a big challenge for us. Because at the end of the day, we are digitalizing, we want to go along with them. Even though we do our utmost best to try to educate the taxpayers as far as the systems that we are putting in place is concerned. But it's a big challenge because a lot of people, businesses that we interact, they still don't want to, you know, keep things on record. And the record keeping becomes one of the main challenges that we are facing. But again, by interacting with our taxpayers, I think we are seeing a lot of changes in that. And for us, what we also do is we try to work with the taxpayers. We try to work with them in terms of the systems that we bring in. That these systems are here for you. The systems helps you. For example, I'll give you a good example on that digitalization of the Asikuda wall. Before we brought this Asikuda wall, people used to, you know, taxpayers come to the port for examination, come back to Banjul, take value, go back to the port. They will be between ports, the shipping agency and ports for several times before they can clear their container. But with the coming of the Asikuda wall, now, you know, all importers and their agents, once they have their correct documents, they can use the system without necessarily coming to GRA. They can sit in their comfort zone and do their declaration, go further for assessment, and print out and then ask their bank to pay without seeing anybody. And then all you need to do is take your papers and assign somebody to go to the ports, you collect your container. When you go to collect your container, all you do, identified it, take it through the scanner to verify what is in the container, and then you go your way. So with that, you know, we are helping the taxpayers how they use the system, our system, and it's for their own comfort, and also create more efficiency in the work you do. So at the end of the day, the 1, 2, 3 days that you waste before we digitalize the system, now within a day, you can clear your goods from the port without talking to anybody. So these are the kind of things we want to do. And again, for 2026, we are also in the process of, you know, replacing the GAM tax net to iTax. And the iTax is also a web-based system, such that whatever Asikuda is doing, iTax will also do that. You will, once we get the iTax platform, all the businesses will be able to do their own filing through the system, e-system. And they will be able to do their payment by using the system. Even to claim for refunds, they can do that. So all the facilities that are there in Asikuda will also be on the iTax. And coming 2026, we are expecting that maybe the second quarter of that, we'll have that system also be in place. So we have a lot of plans ahead of us, you know, and we hope and pray that all these plans will work, and then we will also face 2026 with a positive starting. Every institution that is involved in collection of revenue or other things, the issue of corruption should be expected. People will say this is happening because human nature is such that when you have a group of people working in a place, particularly related to the kind of work we do, you should expect that there will be malpractices here and there. But we have a system in place. All our staffs that are working on the GR, they have the service rules that they read, what to do and what not to do. They have code of conduct, what to do and what not to do. So if any staff, you know, carelessly get yourself involved related to corruption or anything, all we do is we have a committee. You will face the committee, and whatever the service rule dictates and the code of conduct dictates, that's what happens. We don't waste time on that. We deal with the situation because we cannot be like other institutions. Why I'm saying that? Because we deal with revenue, and this revenue does not belong to us. We collect it for the government. So any staff that get yourself involved in misusing that revenue, we don't compromise. We do exactly what our service rule said and exactly what the code of conduct said. If you are to be dismissed, you will be dismissed. If you are to be suspended, you will be suspended immediately, depending on what happened. But we follow the books that we have. And as such, you can see from January to now, you don't hear any issue. The past years, because we deal with the situation such that every staff knows, if I should mess up what is happening, then I'll face the consequences. Without mercy for that matter, without even knowing where you come from. It is here for everybody. So with that, we thank God that the staffs are respecting the service rule and code of conduct. My message, the final message to the taxpayers is that we want to thank them. We want to thank the taxpayers for all they are doing for their country. Be it either you are a Gambian or you are non-Gambian. As long as you are doing an economic activity and you are making some money, I think it's an obligation upon you to pay taxes. You pay these taxes for national development. We pay this. We have seen all the developments that are in place in the country, and His Excellency the President himself will tell you these developments are happening because Gambia Revenue Authority is collecting this kind of money. So therefore, we want to thank those taxpayers. We want to thank them because without them, there will be no GRA. And we know it's very difficult to part with money when it comes to payment, especially payments that are of billions, millions, hundreds of thousands. It's not easy. Even if a company is a rich company or an individual to part with that kind of money is not easy. So it's really a big sacrifice that they're doing for their country. So I want to start thanking them first. And I want to say that let them keep it up and make sure that those of them who should file on time, they should come forward and file their taxes on time and pay on time to avoid any penalty or interest that will put on them. To avoid any issue that they will have with GRA, it's better they do their payments on time. Do your filing and your payments on time. We don't have problem. What we have in the Gambia here is, self-assessment for both tax and international trade. When you have your goods that comes into this country, GRA will only have a backup guideline. But what you are supposed to do is to bring up your genuine invoices. All your documents should be genuine, and then you do your filing. You do filing in international declaration. They call it declaration. You do your declaration, and if everything is correct, nobody will bother you. Again, even if there is something wrong, we might end up giving you benefit of the doubt. And after PCA, post-clearance audit, will come after you. And they will audit you. Whatever difference you need to pay, you will pay it. Likewise, the tax, income tax or domestic taxes, you are at liberty to do your own filing. We don't come to you and say, that's what your turnover is, that's what you do this. No, it's individual, self-assessment. So all businesses will do that. However, we give you benefit of doubt. Time to time, we will do random selection and we will pick you up. Then our tax audit will come and audit your file and see whether what you have been paying is the correct one. So in other words, the tax system is all self-assessment. People have to assess themselves, and then GRA will look at it, whether it's the correct one or not. And then whatever happens, we always give people benefit of the doubt. But what we expect is for taxpayers to come forward and make sure that what they need to pay, they pay it on time. With that, then we don't have trouble. We don't have to run after anybody because we put the taxpayers on top of our agenda. They are stakeholders in what we do. Like the media, you are also a stakeholder. You're doing a very important role. Very important role that if you are minus from what we do, we will find it very difficult. Because like we are talking today, this news and information will go beyond the boundaries of this country. So it is only the media that can do that. So, and that is why we don't joke with the media. Whatever we are doing, we make sure that we do it transparently, and the media can pick it up and take it anywhere. Fine, we don't have any issue with anybody who said something contrary to what we said. No, that's the opinion, and no human being can stop the opinions of other people. But all we know is we are doing our utmost best. Myself and my staffs, we are doing our utmost best. And we will continue doing that. So my thanks goes to the taxpayers. They are doing great work, and we want them to continue doing that, so that at the end of the day, the country belongs to all of us. We can develop it. And maybe I will go to the government, starting from His Excellency and his cabinet and the entire government, and particularly the Minister of Finance, who are our line ministers. I want to thank them for the support, because the kind of work we do, political support is very important. We are not doing the things that way they used to happen in the past by doing things manual. If you follow my discussion, I said we are doing digitalization, and we are bringing reforms, things that someone will never think of. That's what we are bringing, because most of the time when we travel, we go to other countries for meetings and conferences. We look at what is happening in other countries, and we want the same things to come to Gambia. And as such, we see what is possible, what is the best thing, and then we bring it on. If you bring such reforms here, some people's interest will be at stake. And when we start implementing, if we don't have the support of the government, the reforms will not work. You all have seen the benefit of the reforms. That is why we are collecting all these billions for the country. So those reforms are painful, because when they come in any tax line, there are blockages that they will do, and that those people that are affected will also not sit down and look at us. So they will do everything humanly possible to stop those reforms. But the government, we are working with the government, because we are part of the government. So the political support is very important for us as an institution, and we are getting the support from the government in terms of our reforms that we are doing. They are giving us 100% support, and that is why we succeeded in what we are doing. And hopefully, even in the future, once that we have a lot in our head. It's just gradual. We have to take things step by step, so that at the end of the day, we can be achieving, a lot of other reforms, by introducing them one by one. On behalf of the board of directors and my management, I really want to thank the government, from His Excellency, the President, Cabinet, and the entire government, and not forgetting our Honorable Minister of Finance, who is always supporting us in the reforms that we are doing. I will not do justice without thanking my staffs. I want to thank my staffs, all of them, from the top management, senior management, and all the other staffs, because without the cooperation of my staffs, I will not be able to achieve what we are achieving. So we do this, we achieve what we achieve because we are doing it together. So it's a kind of teamwork. So I really want to thank them, for what they have been doing in the past. And I want to encourage them to work together as a team, so that we face 2026 with a positive mind and the collective teamwork that we've been doing in the past. They have been great, and great people, and management, what we can do for the staff to make sure that capacity is built in terms of what the areas they are. I always tell you that GRA is a big institution. Big institution in the sense that we are almost about 1,000 or above 1,000 staffs. But GRA itself is divided into 8 institutions, ranging from, you have Directorate of Internal Audit, and then you have Finance and Accounting. Then you have 2 major operational departments, and that is Customs and Excise, as well as Domestic Taxes. Then you have HR and Admin, and also you have Finance and Accounting. Then you have Legal, Legal and Board Services. So all these people, the staffs that are there, they are all professional in their own way. Not forgetting my board of directors as well. The board, the past and the present, have been very helpful. We work with them. Anytime the need arises, we call them. Anytime we call them, they answer. And they also guide in terms of policy. The difference is operation is management's responsibility, but the board also is here, and they help us in terms of the policy direction of the institution. I must thank the past board as well as the present board. We are grateful for their help, and we are doing what we are doing because they are also contributing positively in what we do. And in summary, I want to thank the entire nation for being with us, because if you don't have the support of the nation, we will not achieve what we are achieving. And I can assure everyone that at the level of GRA, we will continue doing our best. Ala Baraka, QTV group, alkamen ke ko sango sang, alkana jang nal nata ni sango bina banda nga kachake, na kachaka kata men wolem cool menu keta nung ni sango kono, anin cool menu bi alon ko ba nga plan le puru fana sango men kana. So kama akamunda like tubabol kamen for stock taking, be o nata wala. So in same phone drone wolem until GRA. At GRA, we na me primary target kake menti wolem masakunda kajelle dintola nyanta men collect la sango sang men burka ikamen for revenue tax ni sango men ba kono ten masakunda doko men dinna anin IMF agrita menna because target nimbuka ke ko masakuni ja minister of finance la ka wuli don ye number 4 draw ya fa albania ne kala no aka ket fennet men ka doku nim adoko be kala GRA Dhaka Tarajele, IMF Dhaka Tarajele, and Ministry of Finance on behalf of government in Dhaka Tarajele. So, but in Interafong Agrita, that means I do go eventual bulde because when I make soko, Agrita men na ngau kodonying ngau sota puru mansakunda. Saying abenyamen ninang ye 23 billion mansakunda will for puru nyanta men collect la. Odung bring sango datita January aku koleata mbulu bake no ngamira no fenne meya lonko nta sotola no bare bitung membe kering walatin na nga fengol le natinang ika mem for reforms o reformol wolel move nga masingol le nati masingol men ya lonko nga wolel use pour ka dokoke o katinna kodi dol kata no nyamo kono wo kodo nyin sayngol bukata o kata nyame tol fango buka lonno bare say masingol men nge nati nga doko ke walella wole mako bake walati na revenue collection saying mol be ka kala mutako abenu nyama mantara o nyama kadu ko wotumo sanji jama tambitanu ma kodo doko ka kan men na be ka ke manual lati ka même fi ka ke bulolla bar saying nga masingol le nati menu ka doko ke o yatinna na collection o nying saying betiata bake betiata mansakunda lafta la nyamen abeke ka wala nyama asuto fang birimbe diamu kan tubab kan la nu mang afoko say gambe keta banku lete me yalonko banku dolle ka bonang sa ila banku re kana jang kana karang jang ibe tax collection o kala nyame wokono Senegal da bijele wolkono Sierra Leone da bijele wolkono Nigeria da bijele anim banku dol e kana ni nata e ka jibentol kamuneke ganna taxol collect nyaade mem batinna nying nka men soto ten ka soto so bawon dol fanan kata num banku dolel ngata jibero la je kana sain Gambia fana mol kana banku janne e kana jibe nka ke karandi nka doko ke nyame so kata fenti me alonko we makoy bake duni Gambia kono anim bantala kadu bantan kul fana ye bunya badinda ndata dawoda ndata meeting la dawoda ndata conference la dawoda e ka bunya baledinna na doko kendo kam sa obeka o kama nyinang ning 23 billion men mansakunda ko pour nga a collect ndol nga ko do collect la kabring November banta lumen nga wot so telephone tambita wala 23 billion akamunda sedang in December ning nimbe wo collect kam men collect la to be kala collect sonalty do extra bare ngam nim mansakunda e agreement men kenu nga ko collect la kabring end of November andu sango ben kanani ko ten fana ye mansakunda en sasila ko ten fo nyanta men collect la vitale for 27.5 billion wokodo siata bake bari ndol ngani lahi do di man sakunda la ko ning ala en so jati kende anin simaya anin teamwork nga kenyame wokodo fana inshallah nal nata jang December 2026 mba fola li ne ko wokodo fana mba sot nga sotale katu ko latam fannale katu ko nga fero do lande ferol men yalon ko be doku kutol lekela doku kutol men yalon ko mol men yalon ko yela property sotole e ba rent kan bari buka son kana ka tax nyinjo rental tax nga masingol sotole men yalon ko ngi samba satewul kono ye mol bela bungol natal anila kordal and then itol fana bije me yalon ko inso tol jibe momo buka joroke mbe to jela mbe kumandilal ando ninge kumande ni nata be ni meche ko be penalty do kala be wolale kan so janni wo be kala fana mbe yamaro dila dron momo yalon ko ye property sotol andu ba rent kan ta na tax nearest place ibe damen yeta ya fo ko jellem tax nyinti e ba folen aman siya bake nin resident lem 8% lem intara yela bungo soto ya luwas moba ay abe jola ite abe jola ko do menna wo be ibe 8% dammal bondi laje nintara nun ibe ya luwas mem mo commerce to wol ka fa me commercial ibe business ol laje mo 15% net so amang o siya bake so mbe molbe ya mar la pour yeta wo fero kan nga kudol fana ke koten me ya lonko atata fo VAT la karola ika ke collect nu nyamen in 2026 kono mbawo fa fero fana mba tela pour ka fana faling ani jama nta be fola no because time thing allow ngawo be planol soto le pour next year and inshallah ni wo planol be keta akamunta nga menke nyina mbe wala kala jari fana wala na tax collection o nyi lafta man sakunda e men dinna bawo yakarolem andu man sakunda fana niyaje be o dinne jikitannal o jiko nyin mba make sure le ko ngawo kedal and then say na bota woto mbe men kala wolem pour nga tax nge konto nge jayi because ka ni moy kodo soto pour yela kodo bondiya fo bita jola tax la amandiya hani moy keta kodi titi nyango nyang ni ko bita wili le bonde o million yo bonde ta jo amandiya because kodo mu fenati me alon ko mo be lafta kodo la bari pour ka bonde ta jo man sakunda ya sacrifice lem anu e mol menu yela banko kanu wolel kawke so mbe encourage la pour ye continuer kawke foka pour mbe tankla fana pour ye ka doku kendo me baki kan ye continuer kawke na bota woto fana mbe man sakunda fana kontona kabo president wala kata la cabinet kata man sakunda mo dokulal be kontona fo ye mako yoro men ke GRA la kato ngam men fo wate wolem tubabol kam men fo political will ndolbe doku sifa menna nga ideal le natina ninga ideal men betiata bankol men yalan ko wolem the best practice in tax administration nin tata je nga menjije nga wolel natina du ninga o natina pour wole work jang ndol nga nyalon sinkumbaka nga dokoke be wole fala na staff so le wate nga doko mi yalon ko man sakunda e wole dinna and mbewo doko kanne wala tin nga nyi resource wol be soto so mbe tentula mbe jayla be duwale be alama alay be so sima ya bani jati kende anin harje frame so nga wole soto dal pour kafo ambe duwala banko dingul be mo yalon ko one way or the other ibe jang andu ka kule ke man sakunda be nyamen amanke ko GRA dammale man sakunda mum wole department jama ani institution jama doko dula jama wol momo ni la responsibility lem bari ni momo la doko ke collectively aka asinake man sakundati so momo be dawoda itele alo be doko la dame fo mo accountant bank fo mo loyalty bank fo mo mun doku sifalti ni kata collectively you know then man sakunda sotono me alonko ndol bebe content la wal so be mo be content na be mo be jayla ala baraka.
We have had a great interview from the Commissioner General. He was able to really comprehensively discuss the host of reforms that we have introduced and those that we are planned to introduce. And if you listen to him keenly, you realize that GRA is up to our game, in terms of doing two very important things. And that is to fundamentally enhance the operational capacity of the institution so that we are able to mobilize the revenues that the government expect, in terms of delivering a range of public goods and services. So the other dimension, just trying to summarize his speech, has to do with the quality of taxpayer services. Because if you look at our mandate, it's not only the revenues, but those who are paying, we should make it very easy. We should reduce their cost of compliance. So I would say generally, if you look at the trajectory of the institution, even the taxpayers will be able to attest to the fact that the relationship is symbiotic. They are not only surrendering their revenues, but they are also seeing the benefits directly. Because today, if you move around, you see that the network of routes all over, there are certain areas they were completely disconnected. So many economic activities are happening there, but yet they could not, fully, utilize those to improve their incomes. So the investments, the public investments that the government has done recently, it has changed the poverty profile in this country. Because like I have said, a lot of those economic activities now they are translated into money. just giving an example, if you look at, like, let's say now you look at the Nyomis, so many things are happening in terms of agriculture, and a lot of these people, those produce did not benefit them greatly because they could not take them to market. So, and all that is happening because GRA is in a position to mobilize more revenues, and government is in a position to increase and enhance their public investments. So, and I cannot, conclude that part of my speech without thanking the taxpayer population, because their contribution, their willingness, their compliance is making our job easy, so that at the end of the day, we will see a lot more voluntary compliance. What we want to change, particularly a resolution for 2026, has to be to do more of voluntary compliance, so that for GRA, our job would be only to roll out systems, enhance our processes, get our programs, more beneficial to the public, and then the public will respond by voluntarily, without any element of enforcement, without any element of force coming from GRA, so that whatever deadlines are there for them to come and pay, they would just do it, as part of, responsibility to the state, and as part of, a clear demonstration, of their patriotism. Now, coming back to the staff, I will just have to reiterate what the Commissioner General has said. GRA is blessed not only of numbers in terms of staff, but numbers that are very productive, numbers that are very cooperative, numbers that are very supportive and aligned to the mandate of the institution. So it's not about numbers. You can have 2,000, 5,000, and yet your productivity level is very low. So what is more important is that, what the staff are able to put in place. Whatever we do, capacitizing the staff, putting in systems, if the staff are not ready to embrace these reforms, we will not be able to fully, reap the benefits, of these reforms. But our staff are always ready. Whenever new things come, they would embrace them and make sure that, we generate all the expected returns out of this. And I think this is one of the strengths, of GRA, and that is what really differentiates GRA in terms of, what a public institution can do in terms of responding to the demands of the population. To the extent that you see CG has said now, we are becoming a model for the sub-region, an international model, where they will also come and copy some of the good things that we are doing. Once again, I want to wish Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to the entire population, particularly to the tax-paying population, and just to remind everybody that tax obligation is a continuum. A year is ending, but it does not mean that tax payment is ending. So with a new year coming, we have to renew our resolve, our commitments, and make sure that we continue to discharge our obligations, participate in the affairs of the state by making sure that they pay their dues.
La wax ne rek waxtu bu ne at bu nekk tradition la pour ñun ñëw fi waxtaan ak ñun loolu kontaan nañ ci trop waaye di wax nag ne suñ kilifa yi ñoom wax nañ dañuy bamtuwaat rek li nga xam ne ni ñoom wax nañ ko ba pare di si jiitu nag pour gërëm staff yi nga xam ne ni ñooy staff of the GRA from top management to senior management ba si last cadre bi cleaners and everybody else ci support bi nga xam ne ni jox nañ ko institution bi kenn ku ci nekk di def li nga xam ne moom nga war a def pour ñu am li nga xam ne nii mooy suñu target bi mooy 23 billion bi boo xam ne nii bi ñëwee ba novembre am nañ ko ba pare fu mu nekk nii ñu mel ni comme ni ko Sidi waxee rek lépp loo xam ne fu mu nekk ñu ngi ko collecté ci décembre bi boo dafaa nekk ay surplus waaye itam li gën a nekk advantage pour GRA staff yi mooy capacité bi nga xam ne moom lañ bil ci staff boo xam ne nii département boo xam ne nii yaa ngi nekk sa département ni boppam sa staff yi am nañ knowledge boo xam ne nii déclarative knowledge boo xam ne nii lépp loo xam ne assigné nañ la ko am nga xereñte bi pour def kon ni nga ko war a defee te mu méngoo ak loi bi waaye duñ mun a gërëm staff bi itam di gërëm ñi nga xam ne nii itam ñoo si jàpp mooy ñan mooy association of the credit and fraud agents because tey bépp revenu boo xam ne collecté nañ ko déclaration yooyu noonu ñoom ñoo ko def te déclarations yooyu noonu système bi ñu ko defee mooy système Asikola bi so mi ne la whatever they have been doing li mu mën di def rek dafa align with li nga xam ne moo nekk suñu système bi waaw dëgg la nag léegi du ñàkk ñoo xam ne nii duñ ko defee ni ñu ko war a defee waaye overall 95% fu mu nekk nii agency bi ñu ngi koo def pour make sure ne ñu ngi liggéey hand in glove with DRA pour collect this revenue that we are assigned to waaye itam di wax rek ne ñu ngi gërëm nag all tax payers both the importers the exporters the manufacturers ñi nga xam ne ñëpp ñu ngi involve seen bopp ci economic activity in international trade waaw and domestic trade ñu ngi leen a gërëm ci compliance level bi nga xam ne moom lañ gis ñoom fu mu nekk nii because mu ngi mel ni rek every now and then rek bu ñu defee statistics du ñu géej compliance level bi mu ngi gën di high loolu is very very positive waaw te loolu lañ séntu si ñoom waaw am nañ loo xam ne ñu ngi koy AOE authorized economic operator boobu noonu programme boo xam ne nii réew yi nga xam ne ñu wër yëpp dañ koo def waaw te ñun itam dañ ko bëgg a def ko comme ñoom te fu mu nekk dem nañ ci ba advanced level nga xam ne képp koo xam ne fu mu nekk nii yaa ngi comply with tax rules yaa ngi comply with sa tax procedures ak clearance bi dina la jox lu ñu ooyee fast track waaw fast track boobu noonu nag moom daanaka yow sa bagage bi du taxaw waaw képp koo xam ne nag bëgg nga enjoy loolu waaw da ngaa ñëw nga bokk si programme boobu noonu mu ngi si website bi génn nañ ko démba with the instruction of the CG mu ne dañ ko génn si website bi pour ñëpp ñu xam ko su ko defee ñoom suñ ci amee gën a am lu leen buñ ci bëggee am lu leen leer su ñëwee dañ leen ko expliquer na ba mu leer nga xam ne dinañ mën a am fast track clearance boo xam ne du am benn waste time waaye boobu itam nag dafa am lu ñu ooyee legal criteria foog nga yelloo ko waaye yelloo bi nag dafa am ay sarta yoo xam ne moom ngay jaar waaw pour nga yelloo loolu noonu waaw di ñëwaat di wax rek ne suma kilifa yi wax nañ ko ñu ne government support mooy waxaa rek ne peccam liir su neexee yaa ji bootee si mbaga yi waaw support bi nga xam ne ñu ngi ko am from government ak from the ministry of finance from the ministry of trade gars yi ko ñoom ñëpp stakeholders yëpp support boobu noo tey moo tax tey suñu liggéey gën a yomb ba nga xam ne li ñu sasoon ci at bi am nañ ko waaw di ñaan yàlla nag at bii ñëw muy 2026 mu gën a successful even 2025 and we are very am nañ ci yaakaar bu baax a baax a baax te dinañ continuer di def suñu liggéey ni ñu ko sante ak li ñu yaakaar si ñun yëpp pare nañ ci kàttanu yàlla ñu matal ko waaw jërëjëf.
On calminama minen Gambia Revenue Authority les yesongayaji Yankuba Dabo e Alaji Essa e kamen fof wonɓe ɗo min calmini yimɓe Gambia min calmini musidal wonɓe ndi leydi minen on jarna minen on beltani liggue momin goni o ƴeftugol naamu okka laamu pour laamu ɗum wawa liggo leydi ndi enen fof en jii ɗi laabi mbaɗaɗi ɗe ndi leydi fof ko naamu momin mbaɗi o koleke juuɗe mon ko on liggi ɗi laabi ɗum noon minen liggue amen wona liggue beebɗo kono ko yettere Allah ɓay enen fof enen nantodiri enen jaɓodiri liggue o mbo weeɓi kala komin casa e naamu minen ɗum mbawa okku laamu ɗum en tini nde hitande 2025 ko billion ji $23 dalasi ɗum laamu ɗum sasno Gambia Revenue Authority Allah walli min noon de novembre mayata ɗo ta min timmini on naamu joni oɗo décembre kala ko heeɓi toon ɗum ko ɓeyditari yo 2026 noon komin casa ko billion ji $27 eko fawi ɗum minen jakori liggueji ɗi min goni ɗi e dow heyɗintingol moƴƴintingol sincitagol galle amen ko yaadi sartaji aduna ko sengo technologie heno aduna o liggorta no yarata sengo rentodirgol minen jakori 2026 ɓurat wel 2025 kono foof ko jarnugol yimɓe Gambia onon yewɓeɓe naamuji billion ji minen on beltani minen on jarna minen on jetta laamu ɗum ne ɓe nanggani min ko feewi ɓe ɓitinani min ɓemin ƴefti ɓemin balla ɓemin nanani ɓemin keɗo komin kalanta ɗumen ɓe jaɓa kala ko ɓe lamdi min totta ɗumen ɗum noon heɓota ko sona onon jaɓani min onon yoɓoɓe ɓe naamu e dow ɗum ne Gambia Revenue Authority ɓe beltore liggotoɓe ɗo yeehi ha guluje konti wulure neɗɗo kono ɓen fof ko yimɓe jannguɓe ɓe gandi golle mumen te kadi ɓe jaɓi rentegol koɓe keewi fof si ɓe ndentaka golle ɗe jata yeeso kono nde wonno ɓe jaaɓi ɓe gandi ɓe mbawi kono ɓe ndentane ligge ɗe ɗe mbeeɓi. Minen calmina boɗɗone boɗɗo woni heɓɓe ɓe dow amen ɓen noon ɓe gandi koɓe mbatta te kadi ɓemin balliti komin mbatta ko. Yo ɗum noon sona ɗum ko yettere Allah, onon fof on calminama on beltanama. Enen tori Allah tawegol 2026 e jaam, puɗɗoɗen ɗum e jaam, kempinen ɗum e jaam, continuen golle ɗe wona golle kantotoɗe ɓe mbiyata e goto ko golle continoje. Kala gonɗo ɗo koko casaɗa ko mbatta, si a wawi ko ɓuuri ɗum ne ko yettere Allah. En jarna on jarnama on duwanama, Allah hokku en ñallude e jaam.
Bay hinji unda merci QTV biwa living tari di GRA undu pedepanan uswalu me uko banji ne kuda depa mbayi ne na banji ana lentu ne kondro ni nire na pusi unchi ngi million u mil intara ngi tebna ngwant pour undu ka purir pu kol pikalri undu kol ripli November utwantenul na yekra a garmir pusi unchi nasi Adama Baro na tubu kiwu ko lempoki bodu na management bi undu moblar bi apusi nahari bi fehundu undu ka puri piank unchamu ni ribanya utwantenul unda puri prak ne jiare unda ruko ka cher uncha legi bi mebi undu ka usir technology chu masini kompu ko lemparundu undu ko me ko nyanke pluk na lokal undu ko rama jaku tu na gambe tu karanya plike unke pul pusi kluk pusi nga plupte undu ka blariu praku nga pluk ngani pusi warante nul unangal pita gambe ne undu ka fuanu walu unangal kombi banyan tambanar wingi pikare undu puri ka ko basi nasi rakundi pianka rokal unangal ka fabo baka ka lukun chamu kal bebe ka bi pluk karoler unchi ka kepli banyan ka puri kesusunul bawlul nasi na puri plempar banya loptan école pluk balemp na also pour rampid kimba sundali ru ko ten njaru han na ba police wuni licung ume unangal pirakan dabaran banya gambe binda tambanar wingi pikalri on diankun cham ka fabu unangal hende ka wati wuli un cham uleru ke pule banya ka puri pul pusi uba ke prona baronol unangal pirakan abara usubaluni unduka nyandir gambe pis ka chikafa jaka puri pare election no war jaka also jaka ka puri bu karanya nu len punci waran merci.
Assalamu alaikum ku palan ku jamaat ni jalo ja manji mika mini ringetumu kasala kan commissioner general asena me pour buni regu o di board of directors kola di management kola kone ijo mini yisenu mati tanko minya ko sasale mite mati wanji ware jikan wonom e chameti wanji ware ji cham ji chanja na manji ware ji chameno taye minya esuke wanku seni mi pour manku rok ku ringetum wanku seni mi nyata e minya ko baka salaire mati mu manji jumu manji rambeni mante ku baji wanku waren ku baj pour eroketu mo fam walla nya wari no ton pop ko ne mbu saliw mati emite ballo ban wala bo kano kende emite cien manji continue di ji rok di kucila na manji ji pimi di ji kaneno yo wanto nya e salule cep pour manji sof ling kadu wano sanu rokim wano sanu ubajami di broka bete enda mo fam wala yote jo kantum na mati brok bati anakon wala tu warana kana unyana utakon munu roka nyambi iringetum kasala kati commissioner general nani salu momok fujuma fanji jumu nya manji rambeno nya manta ringu nya tan ringu nya yo emita katu amita kanji mita ji tome na yati bulay nungole na okana na munu kana meno ni salu momok.
Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum to you all. I think it is going to be very difficult to follow up on what the Commissioner General said and the Deputy Commissioner General. What I can say is that Under their leadership, GRA has undergone major transformation in these past years. Like he stated, GRA introduced so many reforms, and we are now seeing the impact of those reforms. Like he stated, previously GRA used to struggle to meet revenue targets, but like he stated, in 2025 we are able to achieve our target a month ahead of time. As at end of November, we are already 286 million above our annual target. That is unprecedented. And if you look at what we have collected by end of November, it's already 22% nominal growth compared to what we collected last year, about 4 billion growth. And this cannot come like that. You spoke about some of the reforms. Included is the e-tracking that we have, that is tracking transit goods from the borders and also from inside to the outside. We have the scanners at the seaport, the digital wave bridge. All of these have had major impact in terms of how we are improving collections at the level of the international trade. And in recent years times now, we are now focusing our attention into bringing reforms also in the domestic tax side. He mentioned the rental tax compliance system. The first phase of that has already been delivered, so we are working on the second phase that will also include the West Coast radio. And already we are seeing signs of impacts of that. The other reform that is on the pipeline is the VAT invoicing, e-invoicing. The project is ongoing. We are hoping once that is also fully implemented, we're going to see a major transformation in terms of collection of domestic tax revenues, particularly VAT. Again, you have the revenue assurance system, which is also in the pipeline. We are hoping that will also come into play next year. Inshallah, if all these reforms mature, GRA already we are at a different level, but that will bring about even more improvement. But all these successes, like he stated, is because of the compliance of the taxpayers and the support of government. So we want to thank our taxpayers for their compliance. Those who are not there, we are encouraging them to come forward. This is about national development. So we encourage them to come and then contribute their quota to national development. So on that note, I want to wish everybody Happy New Year in advance. We hope to do even more greater things going forward. Thank you.